Welcome to another episode of Garbage Gold. This guy called me. He's got a deep freeze. You knew I was kind of a weirdo and into deep freezes, so we cruise over there. Hasn't worked in a couple years, I guess. I didn't get the full timeline story, and he's concerned it won't fit through the door, but this thing's gonna fit through the door perfectly fine. The real gem in the deal, though, is there's a jacuzzi that ain't gonna fit through the door. They built this extension off their house around the jacuzzi, like most indoor jacuzzis, I guess. The jacuzzis are big, awkward, they're odd size, so there might be a little double dip garbage gold action. So yeah, loaded her up, brought her home. Alright, so this is the old deep freeze. Old General Electric. It's show it on my truck bed here. See, it's kind of like the shorter style of the deep freeze. It's not the big long ones, not like the 7-foot ones, but like a 5.5-foot one. Like all freezers, they're just stinky. So we just fill her up with some water, through some automotive degreaser or something, I don't know, whatever, just to kind of make whatever grime go away. It was like a whole entire dead cow was in this thing. Okay, so she's all rigged in there. You can see that she's not quite safe because I'm missing some parts, and I rigged her up. She's propped up on this old degreaser jug so we could drain the freezer stink out of this thing, man. Freezers get so nasty. Okay. Anywho, here we go. Moment of truth. She's got lit up on this blue power cord, jumped down from the house. We're gonna get out our nickel here, or a quarter. Turn this thing from off to... Ooh. I don't know if you heard that, but compressor turned on. The reason I'm just jumping this starter out for now is to make sure that my compressor works. Why order a part for a broken machine? So as you can tell, I need to make some monologue in the middle of this video. So this video was filmed in the summer, and it's now winter, as you can tell by the filled in windows. Those are windows that the snow is so deep it's covered the window. So this is the deal. The first part of the video is where I rigged up and just hot wired the compressor direct, and I ran that until I burned the compressor up. And the second part of this little part is me discovering that I burned it up. So what I did is I overrode some of the thermal protection in the starter that had already failed. When the starter failed, and part of that was a thermal overload. So I jumped across that, and when you first saw that compressor kick on, that was without any thermal protection and without a capacitor. So the motor in the compressor eventually failed, but I let it run for a few hours before that occurred. But I didn't know that. I thought it would run fine without a capacitor, which was my mistake. Alright, so this deal is pretty simple. It might be simpler than the last one that I showed you. So based on the temperature, this and the setting, this little device is going to open or close these two wires. So this is power coming in, the black wire is power coming in, and then this yellow wire is what I would call a switch leg going back to the compressor. So it comes back to the compressor and it runs into this starter. So these starters just kind of pull off in here. There's 3 prongs that hold them on the compressor. This part's like a thermal overload or capacitor or something, I don't know what it is. So this plug just plugs onto the 3-prong inside there, which is the leads for the compressor. Alright, so I may have done something illegal in light of this project. So this is what I got. So if you look here, this is, I'm pretty sure, okay, so these all, freaking trucks, man. Look at this truck coming down the road. Jaking, oh my heck. Living on a highway. Okay, so this is starter. See, it's 2 holes, and then this plugs onto the third. So they're kind of a different style, but same kind of concept. Same thing here. 2 holes in here, and this is the third prong. Okay, and this is identical. And how I acquired these may or may not be kosher, but I think it's still not that reprehensible. So here's what happened. I was down at the old landfill, dropping off some metal. And the metal pile and the things with Freon pile are close to each other. And I was like, I know I need a starter for this deep freeze. So I maybe swung in there and cut some starters off. Anyway, checker for the old power hour. Got 120 there. So either we got this on the wrong post, or she's garbage. Okay, so I rigged the old starter back on there, and let's see what happens now. Give her the old prayer and jam her on. I don't hear anything. Okay, so last thing here. This pin and this pin are the, like, motor pins, I guess. The winding pins. And then this pin is the common. So what needs to happen is we tie hot to here, and then put a capacitor between them and tie it to there, and then put the common on the neutral, right? So this machine is not turning on when I do that. So this pin to ground is right around 0 ohms, which is bad. This pin to ground is open. This pin to ground is open. And these 2 pins between them should show, they should be open, I think. But this pin to this pin, so between the motor windings, it should not show open or infinity. It should show some level of resistance, which it doesn't. It's open. And same thing here. So I think I torched this compressor. So that was me learning that I'd burned up my compressor after I'd already made it run, which was pretty sad. So at this point, I'm pretty sad about my contribution to these freezers. So I left it alone for a few months, and then I heard about a freezer that had the same, that also had failed for a different reason I'll explain. But it had the same free on it. It was 134A, just like the one I'd burned up is 134A. So I thought I could cut the compressor out of the working freezer and put it in the freezer that I burned up. You know, when you make mistakes, sometimes the solution to your mistake is worse than the mistake itself. I think this freezer, it worked, but the door broke on it. And all this meat spoiled. And then was hauled out in the back. I don't know if you can see this, but maggots all over in this stuff. But the freezer actually freezes, the compressor works. I think what we're gonna try to do here is steal the compressor out of this mess, burn the rest down, and fix a freezer. Hold the back cover off this machine here, just lean it forward. Check out the evap on this deal. Yummy. Maggot action. Listen really close. That's the sound of work. Check that out. Ugh. So after exploring that option, those two freezers sat in my garage for another few months, and I consulted with a HVAC professional that could potentially help me recover and resolder the compressor into the other freezer, and then charge it with Freon again. And I think he was not super interested in my idea, so I eventually they ended up taking their last ride into the sunset, and that was due to a couple of things. The freezers were actually different BTU ratings. They were different sizes, even though they were the same Freon and they were the same size, cubic foot kind of size. One was an upright, as you could see, but they're similar size. The evaporators are different for sure. So I think there was multiple factors there, which we're not going to let that work. But we did our best there, and I'm sorry to say that this video is taking me this long because I feel so terrible about just throwing some freezers away that I destroyed. Like that coworker #1 freezer that I started out with in the front yard. That freezer was a good freezer. It would have been a $7 starter, just like coworker #2 freezer. And it's sad. It's sad that I destroyed that, but that's part of learning too. Coworker #2 freezer went a lot more smoothly. So these videos are out of order, but I think thanks for watching. Thanks for getting all the way to the end of this story with the freezers, and I'll get you on the next one. So thanks for watching.